So, in talking about safety, it's important to reflect back on one of the main reasons trauma informed care was created by SAMHSA. And it was based on a realization that many service providers, treatment centers, therapists who were really trying to help the folks they were working with were unknowingly re traumatizing or causing new trauma to the very people they were trying to help. And so SAMHSA got together a group of experts and provided a platform and helped to concretize and organize a framework for trauma informed care. So we really need to critically reflect on how we're providing services and how we're cultivating safety and ensure that we're not causing more harm to the folks we're working with or accidentally re traumatizing folks. Re traumatization can happen in lots of different ways. It's when there's a new experience of adversity or trauma in the here and now that also triggers and parallels past experience of trauma that an individual has in their life. So re-traumatization's a little different than just triggering somebody. A trigger is when something here and now relates and reminds someone of a past traumatic memory and activates the content associated with that memory, the feelings, the thoughts, the associations, the images, the body sensations. Re-traumatization is a bit more intense than just triggering a past memory in that it also involves a new harm, a new wound in the here and now. So that's the difference between re-traumatization and a trigger. So re-traumatization can happen in very explicit ways. It can happen in very implicit ways. It can happen unconsciously. We might not even be aware that it's happening for the folks we're working with. And it can also happen through professional negligence or abandonment. So there's lots of different ways that we might unknowingly re-traumatize a client. No social service agency is entirely free from these potentials of re-traumatization. So it's important that we're really looking at this. Even if we have the best of intentions and a good heart, there's still some risk that we might unknowingly re-traumatize someone. Re-traumatization can occur through an abuse of power, through a reenactment of discrimination or unconscious or implicit bias. It can happen through a simple and honest documentation mistake that leads to harm. It can happen because we might forget to follow up or forget to follow through on some sort of task that negatively impacts a client. And it can happen through improper assessment, bringing someone into a level of care where they really should be in a higher level of care, or trying to provide services to a client where the issue is really outside the scope of our competence, or we have a lack of training in a specific area. It happens often in trauma therapy when professionals try to provide trauma therapy but don't actually have any specialized training in providing trauma therapy. Re-traumatization can happen when we push a client too far, when we force them to talk about trauma when they're not ready to talk about trauma, or to be in trauma therapy when they're not ready to be in trauma therapy. It can happen when we go too quickly into the trauma stories and the trauma processing before establishing safety or providing the client with coping skills that can help keep them within their window of tolerance. So this window of tolerance concept is really important in thinking about re-traumatization and preventing re-traumatization. We want to make sure the client is within this optimal window of tolerance, that they're not overwhelmed by the work that we're doing. As long as that client is in this window of tolerance throughout the work, it's pretty unlikely that we're going to re-traumatize the client. The other way that I often see re-traumatization take place is through ethical violations, when the professional engages in some sort of conduct or behavior that violates a code of ethics. So these potential risks for re-traumatization and the ongoing harms experienced by those accessing services is a good reason to elevate trauma-informed principles to the same level that we elevate ethical standards and ethical principles. Many people actually have to seek trauma therapy to heal from the harm that was caused by other professionals that were supposed to help them. And this is if they ever trust a professional again. Many clients that experience harm or re-traumatization or ethical violations in treatment centers or in therapy or in hospital settings are likely to never trust a therapist or a mental health professional again and to never seek treatment again. And in many cases, to really suffer without being willing to seek help, which is really tragic and unfortunate. As professionals, we really have a responsibility to the best of our ability to ensure that this doesn't happen. At one point, before my patient trauma therapy center, the Phoenix Center, before it became a group practice, it was just my solo private practice. And one third of my entire caseload of trauma therapy clients were clients that had been traumatized or re traumatized by other professionals while trying to seek trauma therapy. So there's a real potential for causing harm to our clients. And I've seen it again and again and again and again. And many of my colleagues who I hear suggesting that it's impossible to re traumatize a client, many of those same colleagues, I've talked to some of their former clients who might call our center to receive services and do an intake and hear from them about how they experienced re traumatization through the work with the colleague who I heard say that it's impossible to re traumatize someone. So there's really a real potential for this. And it's something that is our responsibility as professionals to try to mitigate as much as possible. Resisting re traumatization is so important that SAMHSA made it their fourth R in their framework of trauma informed care, where there's 4 different R's. And if you want to learn more about the 4 R's of trauma informed care, I would encourage you to check out the video on this channel that covers those 4 R's. But the 4th R is called resisting re traumatization.